Hello, this is Katie again, and this is video 2. So I am sort of carrying on from where I got to in video 1. If you haven't seen video 1, I'll put a link for it down below so that you know what I'm talking about. So I got to the point where I was offered Carrie in Carousel for the West End opening at the same time as I was offered Christine in Phantom of the Opera on the first ever tour of it. So I'm just skimming through sort of like my career highlights as a professional singer. So after doing Carousel in the West End, the conductor from the West End show was just about to embark on a company that they were producing along with Robert McIntosh at the time, who was Cameron's brother, called West End International. And it was a wonderful opportunity for young West End lead performers like myself to perform in international concerts. So there was four of us who played lead roles, and we would go all around Europe and as far afield as Malaysia, performing with amazing orchestras and meeting wonderful people and working with wonderful people. It was like we were a family. That was a lovely, lovely time. It was a bit of a stressful time, and that's another story as well, and a little bit of a heartbreaking time as well, but that's another story. But it was wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I felt like a star. I also became a leading artist for BBC Radio 2 in their Magic of the Musical series, and I guess this is when I was a bit of a name in the West End. But I'm very humble, although I probably sound like I'm a really big head telling you what I've done, which I don't mean to be, but I am very humble to my downfall, actually. I was quite humble and I wasn't confident enough. I was a very nervous performer and I didn't have a lot of faith in myself. And that's the first lesson if you're a young artist watching this. That was one of my downfalls in my career, was that I wasn't a confident enough performer. I was very scared getting out on stage. And let me tell you now that if people say, oh, it's good to be nervous, oh, it's great because it shows you're good. To a point, but not when you're in your dressing room thinking you're going to be sick, or you get diarrhea, or you're like that. That's no good. You've got to control your nerves. You've got to have a different attitude where you're going to go out there and you're going to slam it, and no one is going to tell you you're not good. That's the attitude you need. So you need to, there was one of my friends who I did Phantom on tour with, and I worked with her in a company called Travelling Opera. And I used to think, God, you're so lucky, because she was understudying Carlotta and she went on for it. And I was like, you okay? You feeling okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. I was like, oh, wow, not nervous at all. She went, I don't do nerves. And I was like, oh my gosh, I so envy you. That is the attitude you need. That is the right attitude. And I wish I had the intelligence to have been more like that when I was younger. I'm all right now, but when I was younger, I was very scared as a performer, and it doesn't help you. So anyway, that's by the by. So I was working for West End. You can hear I'm in New York. West End, I used to work for West End International, wonderful people, lovely people I worked with, who were all successful West End people at the time. Worked for BBC Radio 2. I was Eliza in My Fair Lady with Ron Moody and Tom Conti. I was Marsana in Kismet, which my mum was so happy about because it's one of her favourite musicals, with, gosh, who was in that? Let me think. I was a famous opera singer, it'll come to me, I can't remember her name. She played the other female role, I played Marsana. Can't remember her name. And then I did a little night music with Betty Buckley, who was, she was playing Norma in Sunset Boulevard in the West End at the time. And yeah, she was a very interesting lady, very nice to me. I only saw her, like, she hardly came to rehearsals at all. She just turned up at the end, really. But yeah, she was a fantastic. She's a fantastic singer. Maria Friedman was in that as well. Lovely lady, very nice. Can't remember who else was in it. Keith Michelle, nice man, lovely man. The producer of that was a lovely, lovely gentleman. Gave me a lot of nice breaks. Very nice chap. And he had a beautiful classic gold Mercedes. So yes, I'm a bit of a petrol head as well. His Mercedes was, oh my gosh, it was absolutely stunning. I remember it was like a early 60s big Mercedes, and he'd had it completely refurbished, all gold. Oh, it was lovely. Yes, so that was a great time of my life as well. I worked for a little opera company called Travelling Opera. I played the role of Queen of the Night in Magic Flute. Donna Anna, where I was understudying the role and then went on at the last minute. Oh my gosh, now that was scary. I don't know how I got through that. I think I was so scared when I was doing that, that I was so scared the fear became obliterated. I just had to cut it off. So that was that. What else did I do for them? Oh, Frasquita and Carmen, which is a little role, but that was a nice experience as well. I worked for another lovely opera company in England called Opera North. So when I did Christine on tour, I'd wanted to play Christine for so long, especially as I'd been offered it before and had to turn it down, or my agent chose to turn it down to do Carrie, that when I actually got it, I thought, I've got it now, I'm doing it. And I was on tour and I was in Birmingham, and my husband at the time came to visit me, and I was very, very happy to see him. And I discovered by the time we got to Dublin that I was pregnant with my first son. So I was going to go from Phantom straight on to work for Opera North to play a role called Fiaccamilli in a Strauss opera, and because I was pregnant I couldn't do it. And although my first son is one of the best things to ever happen in my life, I can understand why my mum was upset now, because that was not a good career move. That was not a good career move. However, I can't remember if it was the next year. I think it was the next year. Opera North came back and offered me Goddess Diana in Orpheus and the Underworld, the opera that had originally inspired me, or the operetta that had originally inspired me to want to do opera when I was a 14-year-old. There I was, now an adult, being one of the lead roles in it. Opera North was a lovely company to work for, lovely people again, and I almost thought about uprooting from London to try and work for them full time. I liked it. And I don't like many places up north in England, but Leeds, Harrogate and York, when you go slightly in that direction, I really liked. I really liked them. York is beautiful. Harrogate's really sweet with Betty's, is it Betty or Betsy's? Betty's tea rooms. I also did the tour with Michael Ball as his lady singer on the tour with him, talking of Harrogate, because that was one of the places we went to perform. So Michael Ball in America, for those of you in America, Michael Ball is one of our most famous West End leading guys. Who can I compare him to? Gosh, I don't know, but he's one of our most famous West End performers and has been for a number of years. He was the one who had the hit song Love Changes Everything from the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Aspects of Love, and he was the first one to sing it, he was the first one to have a hit, and he sang it epically. So he became famous for that song, and I was on tour with him, and I was so surprised because the lady audiences, it was like a Tom Jones show, they actually threw their underwear at him. There you go. So yes, I was doing that as well. I got to play Christine in the West End in my early 30s. And when I finished that, I opened my own entertainment business because I got married to my second husband, and we decided I worked for a company who had a particular act, and I thought that I could do as good as that, if not better, but with women. It was a male-based act, and I was their first ever woman that they took on. And I thought I could do the same sort of thing with women, with female women, not male women, but female women. And I did, and that actually lasted for over 10 years. That was my Singers in Disguise act. It was called Soprano Bella. We changed it to Singers in Disguise. And now I have my entertainment business, which is based on my professional singing name. And I'm about to start some new websites and businesses now that I'm moving to New York. So yes, that's kind of brought me up to today. I just finished working, when I first came to California, I worked for the San Diego Opera in Turandot, which I actually found very difficult opera to do. And last month I finished working with the Florida Grand Opera doing La Boheme. And I have to say that I had such a lovely time working with the Florida Grand Opera. What a lovely bunch of people. Really, really nice. Jared, the chorus master, lovely guy, real pleasure to work with and work for. Matt, who's the manager there, lovely guy to work for, real fun, don't take themselves too seriously, but get the work done how it's needed to be done, but make it real pleasant environment to work in. So I really did enjoy working for them, and they do really great operas. So if you're in the Florida area, you got to catch what they do, because they're excellent. So yes, I've just finished that. So we're moving to New York because I had enough of Southern California, and I'll tell you why in a little while, or probably that'll go into my next video. My 18-year-old son wants to be an opera singer, and he sings musical theatre as well. But at the moment, he wants to be just opera, but I'm sure he'll do both. And he won a full scholarship to go to the Mannes School of Music right in the centre of New York. He got a scholarship to go to the Manhattan School of Music, and he got a scholarship to go to the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. But Mannes gave him a full ride. And that's another subject we can talk about. How expensive it is to send your child to college in the United States compared to the United Kingdom. And all the ways round it. Mannes offered Cameron a full scholarship, so they won hands down. And I had a really good feeling about them when I went to his audition. They had a parent meeting, and I met the two guys that are sort of in charge of the vocal program there. They were just really sort of current and knowing what's actually required in the business and the industry today to make it as a professional. And I liked them very much. I got a very good vibe about that school when I went in there. And famous people that I know that went there is Burt Bacharach. He went there. So, and I'm going to find out more famous people that went there, because I think there's been quite a few. But I was just told Burt Bacharach, and he's pretty famous. So yes, that is really why we are moving to the East Coast. But I was going to give it a try over here anyway, before I get too old to try and work in New York. And I'm working in New York, but what I mean potentially is working in a show or for an opera company in New York. But I've already had an engagement in February here. I had one today, and I have two coming up, one on the 1st of June and one on the 2nd of June. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in my next video, my third video. So stay tuned if you're interested.